26 knots down the Eagle. 106 interval is a Rhino at 5. Sure, sir. 07 on glide path on course 1 mile. Sure, sir. 07 on glide path on course.
On the 8th of March 2014, the North Korean flagged oil tanker, the MV Morning Glory, entered the port of Lassiter in central Libya. At the time, Lassiter was under the control of anti-government forces, and when the tanker entered port that morning, these rebels seized control over the vessel and publicly announced that they had begun loading the first of 234,000 barrels of oil on board. According to the rebels, their intention was to sell the oil to a third party and then distribute the profits throughout Libya. As this oil was owned by the state, the Libyan government immediately declared the shipment to be illegal, and the Libyan Navy was ordered to establish a naval blockade with 17 patrol boats to prevent the Morning Glory from leaving port. Curiously, Libyan Prime Minister Ali Zaidan also threatened to carry out airstrikes on the tanker if any attempt was made to depart from Lassiter, a proposal the Libyan Air Force vehemently opposed due to the high risk of civilian casualties. Fortunately though, it appeared that such extreme intervention wouldn't be required, as the Libyan government claimed on the 10th of March that its navy had successfully intercepted and gained control over the Morning Glory as it attempted to leave port early that day. The Libyan Minister for Culture, Habib al-Amin, stated in a press conference that the authorities, until this moment, are very clearly in control of the tanker, and the tanker is safe and fully protected by the Libyan naval forces. No one from the other side can come close to it. However, within hours of this statement being issued, it became known that the MV Morning Glory wasn't under the control of the Libyan Navy, but was in fact heading out into the Mediterranean Sea under rebel command. According to a later statement by the Libyan Navy, poor weather had severely disrupted their naval blockade at Lassiter, and the Morning Glory has simply passed through and into the open waters beyond. As a result of this political failure, Prime Minister Ali Zaidan was removed from office on the 11th of March 2014, following a vote of no confidence in the Libyan parliament. In the wake of Zaidan's dismissal, the Libyan government requested help from the US and Italian navies in tracking the Morning Glory as it sailed into the eastern Mediterranean. For their part in this operation, the US Navy deployed the Arleigh-class destroyer, the USS Roosevelt, which had been stationed in the Mediterranean since late February 2014 as part of the USS George H.W. Bush Carrier Strike Group. When the crisis first started, the Roosevelt was at Split in Croatia, but on the 11th of March, she set sail to begin stalking the tanker. For the next few days, the Roosevelt closely monitored the Morning Glory as it passed Crete and Egypt, and eventually anchored off the coast of Cyprus on the 14th of March. Here, the American destroyer was joined by patrol boats of the Cypriot Navy, and from the 14th to the 16th of March, the two forces maintained a distant watch on the tanker, during which news came through that the North Korean government had severed all ties it had with the ship due to the illegal cargo it was carrying, whilst an unidentified civilian vessel was seen approaching the tanker at some point on the 14th of March. After a few hours alongside the Morning Glory, this vessel returned to port at Larnaca, where it was seized by Cypriot authorities and its 3 male occupants were detained for questioning. Although it was suspected that the 3 men were attempting to buy the oil, nothing ever came of their arrest as a Cypriot court ruled that any crime they had committed had taken place in international waters and was thus beyond the powers of the Cypriot authorities. In the meantime, the US Department of Defense had been weighing up its options on how to bring an end to the crisis, and it was in the early morning local time on the 17th of March 2014 that US President Barack Obama, after consultation with the Cypriot and Libyan governments, authorised a military operation to board and seize the MV Morning Glory. This operation was launched at around 0500 on the 17th of March when a detachment of US Navy SEALs, operating under the command of the US Special Operations Command Europe, boarded an MH-60 Seahawk helicopter and a couple of rigid inflatable boats, and set out from the USS Roosevelt to secure their objective. On reaching the target, one team of SEALs fast-roped down from the Seahawk and onto the deck of the Morning Glory, whilst another team scrambled up the side of the tanker from the ribs and then fanned out to gain control over the vessel. Sweeping through the bridge and the below-deck areas, the SEALs swiftly secured the release of the ship's original 21-man crew, who were effectively being held hostage on board, and detained 3 armed rebels, who surrendered the moment the American troops began boarding. No shots were fired throughout the operation, no casualties were sustained, and by 0700 on the 17th of March 2014, the MV Morning Glory was in American hands. Following their successful operation, the Navy SEALs transferred control of the tanker to the Arleigh-class destroyer, the USS Stout, which had been dispatched to the area to relieve the USS Roosevelt, which was to rejoin the George H.W. Bush Carrier Strike Group and redeploy to the Arabian Sea. From the 17th to the 19th of March, the Stout escorted the Morning Glory to a point in the central Mediterranean, at which point she was herself relieved by the Oliver Hazard Perry-class frigate, the USS Elrod, which led the tanker back into Libyan territorial waters and officially handed authority of the Morning Glory over to the Libyan Navy on the 22nd of March 2014. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please be sure to leave a like and subscribe so that you never miss one of my future videos.